Welcome to another episode of The Bench with Jenna and Jon. This week's victim is none other than the sporting director of the Leeds Rhinos, Ian Blease. Ian Blease, what can we call you?
Yeah, Blease is fine. Call me
what
Blease.
a thrill it is to have you on the bench.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I mean, there's so much to go at and so little time. So,
give us the full title. What is your title?
Sporting director.
Sporting director.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
That's
Did
it.
you say that?
Simple as
that,
that.
yeah.
You got it right.
Your
Yeah.
intro. Sporting director. Did you always have ambitions to be a sporting director?
Do you know what? I did a masters in sporting directorship. So I just and there was a lot of other sports using that title. So I just brought it here with me.
so what does it mean then? What's your day to day here at Headingley?
So it's overseeing all the rugby departments. When I first met Gary about coming here, he explained that he'd be handing it all over to me. So that's the ladies' teams, academy scholarships, everything. So it covers all that recruitment.
Big job.
Yeah, big club, isn't it? Big organisation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite a substantial task.
Well, I'd also like to thank you. The reason we're sat up here on this amazing
plush.
balcony, it's
What a
very plush,
setting.
is because of you. So we appreciate the location. In the background, you will hear a game going on. That is the women's game, Leeds up against Lee. Okay, I guess we'll start at Salford, because that's kind of where, I mean, you're Salford through and through. You were, I should say.
12 years. 12 years as a player. And it's been part of your life. That club has been just an integral part of your life. When did you fall in love with the Salford sort of club?
Probably when I signed, when I was 19, 20-year-old, something like that, and then managed to get in the first team. And then you set goals like you would have done, Jon, about achieving them in the game, playing 10 first team games. I think my contract was at the time big bonus for 10 games, and then I wanted to be skipper, managed to do that. And then I wanted to be sort of like full time, but I think it was only Wigan being full time then, and then Super League came in, so I managed to just get, I think, one game in Super League before. So I was a bit too old then, but yeah, I fell in love with it through the 12 years of playing for the club, and then obviously came back to the club when Marwan Kukash was there. So, and I think I said at the time it's in my DNA. It always will be, probably. But here I'm at probably the best club in the world, really.
Yeah, so you were rugby director. The end, that was your last role at the club before you left. What was it, June 2024?
Yep.
A year ago.
Yeah.
And then you obviously got the job here. Why did you leave, Bleasy?
Do you know what? It was such a difficult decision. I said at the time, I think I took the club on the rugby side where I could probably get it to, and Leeds came in. It's not like I always wanted to play for Leeds as a player, if I'm being honest, but wasn't that good enough to come here. And then when the opportunity came to join such a magnificent club as this, I couldn't turn it down. No chance. No, not at my age and my ambition that's still within me to win something at this level, in the administration level. I wanted to do that, and I still want to do that.
It was hard. It was hard to make that decision.
Yeah, big decision. We chatted about it as a family, and even my mum and my brothers, I went to them for advice, and I met the old chairman, John Wilkinson. Spoke to him about it before I did it. But I think I made the right decision at the right time for me, and at the right time for Salford, probably.
Yeah.
Well, just on that, the timing of the decision. Obviously, what's happened at Salford, the financial situation, how that's unfolded. How much of that was part of the decision making, if any?
None, really.
Zero?
No, because...
Did you have any idea what was going to unfold?
Because when I made the decision at the time to let others get involved in the club, I just wanted to run the football, so get the football budget. We never obviously played to cap. That was, I think you did a piece on it once. We were never anywhere near cap, and I don't know what they've done since, but we were always a few 100,000 below cap. But so I used to get the budget, and we used to try and spend to it. And obviously some of the signings were pretty astute and tight, and I don't think we ever overspent. Maybe we pushed the boundaries a little bit as a club. And then I don't know what's happened since, because I've not been there.
In what way, when you say push the boundaries a little as a club?
You'll take a gamble on one or two players, won't you? Which is what we did throughout probably the time I was there, and we took some gambles on players who really shone and came through for us, and probably
Brody
made
Croft,
stars out of them. Yeah. Jackson and Joey Lussick, and even the likes of Lee Mossop, Mark Flanagan, who were there when I got there. We managed to retain them types of guys. So it was a great time. I look back on it with fondness, and I hope I left it in good hands when I did leave. But it's a shame where they're at now, obviously.
Are you shocked at where they're at?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it not inevitable, though? If they're a loss-making organisation and they don't have a backer, that because I just want to mention something. Round 1 of 2024, I came out and I said on Sky, if I was a player or member of staff at Salford, I'd be very nervous right now. And I remember Paul King asking for me to apologise about it, which is fair play. But I found that a bit rich then when what's happening now, the financial situation didn't stack up for a long time, did it?
And I think reading what I've read in the media, there was promises made from other parties as well before the owners came involved that I think the club was probably relying on too much. Maybe you could argue. So it's happened. A series of events have happened, and people were probably maybe relying on other things too much. But we always thought if we could win something, we came close in the Challenge Cup. We came close in the grand final. We thought that if we can build it by performing out there, that's what my philosophy was. Build it out there, and we'll somehow get the commercials and the fans. And we weren't far off, I don't think, at that time.
Isn't it interesting, because we had Paul Lurkin on the pod, and he pretty much said the self-same thing. So you do what you want, marketing, sales strategies. You can have whatever strategy you want. The most powerful thing for commercial revenues
100%.
is a team that's winning. And Hull KR have got that. They're doing that now, and you can see the commercial cogs turning there.
And we're trying to achieve that here at Leeds, obviously.
How bad was the timing of COVID for Salford as a club? Because the grand final...
And the Challenge Cup was 2020 with no fans in the stadium.
2019, the grand final.
Yeah, that hit us badly, and we couldn't take and get a lot of commercial revenue off the back of that final. And I think clubs getting to the Challenge Cup final, the shirt sales, and stuff like that, rely on that, and we couldn't get that. That didn't drive any revenue through the club at all.
And it would have taken on debt in that time as well as a club.
Yeah.
So COVID for me was a really pivotal moment for the club because successful on the field, unable to capitalise commercially off the back of it. I remember I was driving in lockdown down the dual carriageway coming out of Manchester, 30-foot high digital board, and it's like Salford, and it was promoting Salford, and I was like, even if I wanted to do something now as a business or as a punter, there was not really an opportunity.
Late. And the same with the grand final, really. It happened that quickly that you can't capitalise. I remember the queues for the grand final tickets were down the road for like miles, but it's so hard to capture all that data and information because you don't know if you go until you win that semi-final. So, and we probably didn't have the resources at the time to capitalise on that as well. So we were trying to build a business to cope with the elite Super League, and we didn't quite get there in time, I guess.
A similar question to what I've already asked you, but I want to rephrase it. As you sit here today, when you look at the state of your former beloved club, Salford, are you surprised, or did you see it coming?
Yeah, I'm surprised because, looking, and I don't know the insides of it now, obviously, because it's none of my business anymore. So it did surprise me that it happened that quickly. But then again, it surprised me that they got the owners in so quick, not so quickly, but how quickly that's fallen away. And it appears now that there's some money coming back into the club, which,
bridging loan.
It's brilliant. If it happens, we don't want them to drop out of any league, do we? Never mind Super League. We're trying to strengthen the league, and we need Salford to be in there because it's a big city, and it deserves a good rugby league team.
I think it's important to say that. I think sometimes, fans in particular think that you can criticise like the finances of a club, or I could be critical of a club for mismanaging its finances. I think people can disassociate that with a hatred of a club, which is not the case. No. Like, I know the rich history Salford has. I know from going to the Willows and playing at the Willows, I know how passionate people are about Salford as its own city and its own right and its own brand. And I love Salford as a club. But that being said, you've got to disassociate that with the critique of the financial model, which just wasn't sustainable. And like Blease has nailed it, it just happened so quickly, didn't it? It just felt like all of a sudden that it was like a snowball getting pushed, and all of a sudden.
June you left, November, we all found out that they were in trouble.
Yeah, and it's got to be said though, the hard work that we did behind the scenes trying to bring investment in, because you've got to remember we're next to Manchester. There's lots of successful businesses and businessmen in Manchester and women in Manchester, in Salford, and we tried throughout my period there, along with others, to bring in people who might want to get involved. I can't remember the number of times we've had meetings with potential investors was like unbelievable, and we just could never get one or two over the line. And I see people, right, what about him, what about him? We tried. We certainly, honestly, we tried.
Do you have a nibble at Gary Neville? Gary Neville?
No, but I think Paul King did.
Yeah, I was at an event with Gary Neville.
But they're football men, aren't they? So,
He said, I had this guy ringing me I don't know who he was, and I thought it was you. I thought it was you. I threw you under the bus. I was like carrying up. Sounds like Ian Blease. That it's definitely Blease.
No, I'm a big United fan, but I wouldn't pick up the phone to him without genuine reason.
Paul King desperately asking.
Before we leave Salford and get on to Leeds, I just one favourite memory I have of you was it must have been. I can't remember exactly what year, but you were on the touchline and it was in the playoffs. And is it true that you had this habit where you'd have sweets or lollies, as we call them in Australia, and you just, I remember watching you
Haribo's, was it? Haribo's. Haribo's from the changing room.
And you were on the, and it was because Salford were doing so well, and it was the underdogs. Every week they were the underdogs and they were coming out and they were winning, and there you were on the sidelines watching like this.
I probably get more nervous now than when I was playing.
Really?
It's bizarre, isn't it? I'm nervous now for the game tonight, which I think is great because you can't beat them.
You just love it. You love rugby
league. So
league.
it's probably like that with the Haribo's from the dressing room.
So do you do it at Leeds? That's my question.
No, I don't actually.
You don't.
I have a couple before. Yeah,
just a couple.
Might have just been that.
He's reined
that
in
packet. I was watching, and what was your favourite?
I'm hungry.
Was it a specific?
It might have been in cola bottle, I think. I love cola bottles.
Yeah, I do.
Great, aren't they?
Underrated.
Okay.
A cola bottle is underrated. Let's bring it back.
Okay, so Salford. Let's move on to Leeds. June 2024. So you've been here a year now. Was it a couple of days later? Rowan Smith leaves.
What a start!
Your task with finding the new man in charge. How's that? Tough first job.
Yeah, it was. And I knew what I was coming into. And Ron was a great guy, he's a good human being, definitely. But I just saw the lack of confidence within the place straight away.
So was that your decision?
Yeah. So, I take ownership of that. Yeah, I do everything I do. I take ownership of.
What did that lack of confidence?
I just went into. I remember the review meeting. I think we'd been beaten off Hull the weekend, and I'd gone to Spain for a few days to get out of the way and just to get my thoughts around and put a strategy in place that I thought would be in place hopefully the next 5 years or whatever. And then came into a review meeting, and I couldn't really understand what was going on in the review meeting after the defeat that they had.
In what sense? What do you mean?
It wasn't what I'd expected to come into from a club like Leeds, coming from Salford, where I think we did things really well, but I was expecting probably something a bit different here, and a level up, which it wasn't. It was probably a level down. So that pretty much made my mind up, if I'm honest, pretty quickly.
How quickly did the cards come tumbling down? So you've said in that meeting you've made a decision, right? You're in charge of that department. How quickly then do you have to then act on that? Straight away. That's the learning. If it's in your gut like that, you have to act on it.
I won't make decisions for decisions' sake. It was in my mind anyway. Let's see what I see, and if it's wrong, what I see and smell, and I think I'm pretty good at that. Do something about it. Don't beat around the bush. Really, act, make change. The club needs to change, and that's what I smelt straight away, and that's what I did really. And it was unfortunate. It was wrong. It could have been anybody else, but he'd had a pretty much successful period early doors, and then it sort of like fell away. So I knew what I was coming into. Didn't have anybody in my mind, but just as soon as I thought, right, you've got to do something, I did it.
So he left, and then enter Brad Arthur for the rest.
Jamie Jones briefly. No,
he was before, before Jamie. Yeah.
So Brad Arthur brought in for the rest of that year.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd only have him for a few months.
Yeah.
He was pretty adamant on not revealing what his plan was. I mean, still is the
same,
case, isn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, talk to us about how that came about and how you kind of managed to. Did you have to convince him to come over, or did he reach out to you? How did that unfold?
His agent reached out. I had a list of people pretty much straight away the following day or so that I wanted to look into, which is what I did for probably the next week or so. Met them. Few on Zoom, obviously, from Australia, etc. A few others. Got the feeling from Brad straight away. He was the man. Did which I always do with players anyway. Did digging in the background about his background and stuff like that. Met him straight away. We clicked. I think we've got a great relationship. Been a pleasure to work with him up to now. He's a great guy. And we talked about setting some standards straight away. And I knew this was the guy.
What was lacking? What was lacking, do you think, under Rowan?
Definitely confidence, which happens when you're not winning, doesn't it? You can see maybe a bit of complacency within as well. So they were the things that I noticed straight away.
And Brad's got a steely edge to him, hasn't he? I really like Brad Arthur. I think he's honest. but kind, brutally honest and kind at the same time. It's quite difficult to be like that as a boss of people.
Yeah.
To have honesty about what you do and deliver it in a compassionate way. Like, I really like it. I'd love to play for him. If I was a player, I'd love to play for Brad Arthur.
He's that type of guy, isn't he? And that's what I sensed straight away. There's no grey areas. It's black or white. Come with me or don't come with me.
But it's a very reasonable black or white, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, the things he asks are so reasonable. And they're often choices for players. You have a choice to do it or not. And he's just saying, look, you want to come on the ride with me, this are the choices you make. And I just think
he delivers it really well.
I think he's an
His delivery's fabulous.
Incredible coach.
So you then managed to convince him to sign on the dotted line for 2025.
Yeah, he was on the plane, like literally within 24 hours, and I'm like, I've got to get you a visa and get you. No, he was in. He didn't flaunt any rules, by the way. I have to say,
Sure.
His wife sorted all that up, and he was on the plane.
Yeah,
he was on the plane virtually in 48 hours, 24, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, wow, this is happening. So it was good. So that was his. He was really keen to come over, and we got stuck in straight away.
Yeah, and then he decided to stay on again for 2025. Okay, so did that take convincing, or? Because I know that he's never hidden the fact that his family's back home. He's got 2 sons playing in the NRL. He's missing a lot of time with them, missing watching them play, missing their careers develop. He's never shied away from the truth, which is he wants to go back to Australia. He'd like to be an NRL coach again. You managed to get him to stay on in 2025. I mean, should we just get...
you're skating around it. I don't know what you're trying to do. Yeah, what the hell?
Not scared of asking.
No, what the hell is going on?
I'm not scared. I just wanted to build up to it.
What the hell's going on with Brad Arthur? Because for me, when I look at your club, Ian, everything, your recruitment, what you're doing, everything, how well is it going? Like, it's gone amazingly well. The team's doing great. It's improving. The one thing in my mind that I can't square is the coaching situation. If this man is that integral to the team being as good as they are now, how is that not sorted now?
Very impatient, aren't you?
Yeah. Can I tell you what I think?
Yeah, let me tell you what I think first, and you can come off the back
Perfect.
of me.
I love this.
So we work next door to each other, and we see each other every day, and we've been open and honest with each other from day one, still to this day.
Yeah.
We are open and honest, so I know where he's at, and you're right, Jenny. He has shared his thoughts about going back to Australia. Will that happen? I don't know. Is he keen to stay here? Yes, probably. Does it change week in, week out? There's a bit of that, because obviously the Perth job was there. That's not there now. He probably still would take an NRL job at some point. My job is to convince him to stay here. The players are convincing him bit by bit, I think. He will have a decision to make.
Is there
we
a
all
deadline?
will pretty soon.
Is there a deadline?
He gave you last couple of weeks, didn't
2 weeks. He said 2 weeks.
Pushed him there. He did well there. I think it'll be probably within the next month or so. We need, me and him, to have which we've had, a professional, honest, open conversation. What's it looking like? Because I'm looking at 2027 now for recruitment.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I always involve the head coach. Of course, I involve the head coach in that. He's the main. How do you want to play? What type of players are we looking at? And then I'm on the market doing that job for him. Yeah.
So, if he was to stay, would it be 2 years? Would it be 1 year? What do you think is realistic for him?
I would suggest it would be 1 year with an option. Hopefully, if I could convince it that you know what side the option would be down to negotiations. But
is he waiting for somebody in the NRL to get sacked in order to then? Is that kind of what the delay is? Is it like things
he's not ever wavered from the fact that he wants to go back, though, has he?
No.
So,
what my thought was, this is what I think. Brad's going, and you're working behind the scenes to sort something in the background, in case. Which I'd imagine, look, even if you don't know if he's staying or going next year, so I would assume you still have to have a finger on the market to see who's available.
All right, okay.
Well, there's reports in France that Steve McNamara has.
But have you got a short list of people should he not stay?
As you know, I'll have my finger on the pulse with everything that's to do with rugby. So when we make that decision with Brad, or both of us make that decision, then I'll go into recruiting either Plan B or Plan C.
He's going.
When?
Brad Arthur.
When?
He's going.
When's he going?
He's leaving.
When?
At the end of this year.
Oh, right, okay. That's news to me.
Okay, so
thanks for telling
if
me.
he does,
I thought I'd get more of it.
if he does,
because I've just explained.
I know, you
I
haven't.
think, and I'm honest and open.
Yeah.
Like we talk.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I can convince him in the next weeks maybe to stay. You're right. There's got to be this club needs certainty.
If you haven't convinced him to stay already, what's going to convince him?
Sweet.
No, Haribos, yeah.
I go with Alan's.
I don't think we have to do anything more than keep performing out here.
Yeah.
That temptation of winning something here, it's got to be. It is a big lure for him, isn't it? It's got to be. And we've had that conversation. Let's do something. Let's win something together.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Hopefully, that grabs him.
Is it a bad look for a club like Leeds, this big and with such a reputation around the world, to have a head coach who is almost considering walking away voluntarily to go back to Australia?
Bad luck's harsh.
Not bad luck, but this is such a coveted job.
Yeah.
Do you know,
it's one of the most famous clubs in the World Rugby
this
League.
is one of the most glorious sports clubs. Look, we're next door to this cricket ground. You know, the scene of Test match last week. This facility is incredible. The team, the size of it, the impact it has on the community, the amount of amazing supporters commercially backed it is. Is it not a bad look for people who are outside then to say a head coach is umming and ahhing whether he's staying in this job, one of only maybe 30 jobs in the world that he'd want? It's not like other industries where there's 1,000 jobs. Like, you know, there's probably maybe less than that. 10 jobs in the world he wants. He's got one of them, and he's considering leaving.
Yeah. So I think when you've got a combination of a club working well together, and that's just not him and me, that's the whole group of staff that we've done, you know, in the last 12 months or so. I think you've got to put some trust in them people to stay with you on the journey, and I've got that trust in him. But he will only do what's right for Brad and his family. He will.
Yeah,
so we've come, you know, to that agreement that, you know, we will decide very soon which way we go. He'll go one way, we might go the other way.
Have you set a date?
In my mind, yeah.
What is that?
I'm not telling
Does
you.
he know?
Why was
It's none of your business.
Does
I know
Brad
it's none of my business, but tell me.
But does Brad know the date?
No, because Brad's getting hammered with questions. If you just put a date out there, Ian, I think it'd solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to you. I
wouldn't?
wouldn't publicise stuff like this. So
date.
internally, we will have that
Date.
discussion, yeah.
But so Brad knows the date where he's going to make a decision?
No, he doesn't, because it's in my mind, nobody else's. Because that's what I do.
Is it in July?
Because what are we now, June? Oof. Stop guessing, John.
No, is it in July?
I'm not telling you.
Well, August is too late.
Part of it, I'm not telling you, do you not understand?
But August is too late, Ian.
No, yeah, it is.
It is, isn't it?
So out of 10, how confident are you that he will stay?
Wow, good question, that.
It's a great question.
It is a great question.
It's a great
It's
question.
a numbers question as
Should
well.
I answer as well?
Go on, then. You do. You
3.
Go first
I mean, I
this
don't
time.
care really,
Yeah,
because you're not-
seriously.
3 out of 10. Okay,
Just
that's...
think
Do you know
he would-
something I don't?
I just think he would have signed if he was going to stay.
Okay,
Do you know
Bleasy?
already?
But then again, the Perth job.
Yeah, I get
So-
you. Yeah, I understand.
So it's
Bleasy,
changed a
as
little
we
bit.
sit here today, on the 20-odd, whatever it is of June,
6.523.
out of 10.
Love it. That's confident.
I think
Yeah,
I'd like
that's
to be
really
an 8.
confident.
I would like to be an 8.
Yeah.
Listen, he's a great guy. I want to keep him.
Yeah.
Let's put
Okay.
it, you know, and I've said it on record. I want to keep him. We're working together. Hopefully, we can get it over the line.
Ian, if you pull this off, it'll be the
It's up
biggest.
there, yeah.
It'll be the biggest, probably single-handed recruitment coup for a Super League club in some time. If you can do
No
it,
comment.
I think he's that important.
So if you can't do it, then who gets the job?
I'm not telling you.
Steve McNamara?
No, because I don't know yet.
You don't know, but you must have like a favourite? Like, is Steve Mack...
No, I'll do the research that I always do, and I'll
you would have
meet
done the
people.
have you done the research?
No, because I think that'd be unfair on Brad as well. So I wouldn't be, you know, that.
You haven't done any
Behind the back.
research.
I haven't done any research.
That's such a lie.
In your mind, you mean, all through?
No, you just don't mean what you're talking
I
about.
wish I could get
research
into
me.
your mind.
What are you
Your
talking about,
mind is
research?
amazing.
We need
So-
to get him and Paul Vaughan, the two most politician-like.
Oh, is he like
he didn't answer a question.
Hey,
I've
this
answered
is
loads of
great.
questions.
It is great.
So,
I know.
okay,
So I'll always have a plan in my mind.
Yeah.
Always.
But it's not written down.
You
Yeah.
go to bed thinking about what you're going to be
how
doing
can
day
we
to day.
access your mind?
How'd you do that?
Trying to work it out.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking.
So what do you make of the reports in France that are suggesting Steve McNamara has been offered a contract?
Steve's a great coach, isn't he? So he'll, you know, as and when the time comes.
True or false?
Pardon?
True or false?
True what? Or
True or
false?
false that he's been offered a contract for here at
Oh no,
Heavyweight?
that's false. Yeah, no. So there's nothing been done on the contract front with anybody. So
on your list,
your sources are not the best.
I know, no, we're just throwing things at you, see what sticks. Eventually your face will crack. No, we're not better than that. Yeah, so eventually the point is going to come where you're going to have to make a decision. We're not sure when that is, but what you're telling us that you have such a good relationship with Brad, you're not feeling twitchy about
I'm enjoying it. I'm actually not enjoying it.
No, I get you.
But working with him, it's fabulous, and the guys love it, the players love him, so and the club love him. You've said it already. What you see is what you get. And he's fabulous with the guys. His man management style is exactly what I wanted at the club. Yeah, and I want to keep him.
What on your list of to-dos is Brad Arthur number one? Things to do.
Well, I've done most of 2026 recruitment now. Just need to keep my eye on a couple of things in and around that. So Brad's my full focus at the moment. I'm now on 2027 actually. Yeah. So I've done a bit of stuff on that already this week and the week previously. So.
How hard is that, planning 2027 when you don't know who your head coach
Never
is
done
going to
it.
be?
Probably. I couldn't do it this far ahead at Salford, so I'm happy to be a year ahead. I remember speaking to Rushy years ago about he was always a year ahead. He was going to Australia a year ahead. So I'm sort of like getting in that position now, which I wanted to be when I first came here. Get ahead. Don't be reactive. Plan it. Strategise properly. And that's what I'm doing. But Brad's my main focus probably now.
Yeah, you're right. You love your job, don't you?
Love it.
I know.
But you hate this, don't you? You're like, why did I agree to come on the bench podcast?
Yeah,
Listen, it's been
can you
fantastic.
Can you tell about that?
It's been so good. Before we've just got Barry McDermott in the corner there waving, coming out. Of course, he's allowed to come out here to this wonderful balcony. Before we do let you go, on this podcast, we've got the segment on and off the bench. On the bench, something you want to see less of in the game. Off it, something more of.
You know what I want to see in the game? Yeah. And we've had a meet this week.
More of? Yeah, off the bench.
Or injected into the game.
Injected back into the game probably is the youth international pathway. I just think we've lost our focus on. Right. You know, Australian schoolboys used to come over and play. Where's that?
Is that not happening anymore?
No.
Really? Was it COVID that was the undoing for that?
I've had a conversation with Nigel Wood because we met about the youth pathway in general this week, along with other members from the RFL. And that was one of our topics as a club. John Bastian, our head of the UK, and with me, and we spoke about that international youth pathway. Where's that now? If we want to win the Ashes, it's great that the Ashes are coming back and the confrontation at international level is coming back. But we need that throughput of our youth coming back into the game. Yeah. Even the Knights. Where's the Knights gone? You know, the England Knights.
Yeah. So it's so funny you say that. Where's it gone? Yeah.
Where's it gone?
the schoolboys, Aussie schoolboys.
Let's go there. Let's go New Zealand and get that youth pathway back. Really? Sorry, it's rugby focus.
That's what we want.
I'm quite passionate about that. Knowing what we've got here in terms of homegrown talent coming through our scholarship and academy. So excited to see what comes in the next few years. Somebody said to me last week, you're going to have a really difficult job in the next few years to keep hold of some of these youth players. It's great what we're doing. And other clubs are doing it well as well. But I'm privileged to be with this group of young players coming through now. Yeah, fabulous.
I love that.
So I love that too.
Yeah, pathway. A really solid pathway for young. International pathway for young.
Let's do it. And then when they're ready to play in the international elite stage, they've been there, they've done it. You've important that is as a player.
Brought up in the strategic review though.
Yes, probably. If it ever comes.
Off bench for you.
Yeah, well, you know, you get handicaps, like in racing. Sports are handicapped, aren't they, sometimes? And we have bookmakers that set a score, you know, Leeds by 12. But I actually want to start the game with those handicaps in play. So if it's Wigan by 24 against Catalan, Catalan get a 24-point start on them. Just as an experiment. Maybe at Magic Weekend, we do a handicap game. Handicap the games. Yeah. So in theory, they all finish 0-0.
You get points for winning as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it'd be interesting viewing. Actually apply... You're always asking for predictions, right? And I'll say Hull KR by 6 or whatever. What if the opposition got a 6-point start? You know, I'd like to see it. Handicapped game. One handicapped game a year.
Neither here nor there, sure.
No. And then do it at the Magic Weekend. That's my idea.
For me, off the bench this week is Brad Arthur staying in Super League at Headingley.
You want him?
I want him. I think he's...
You like Brad Arthur, don't you?
I have so much time for Brad. He's been always
Can you tell a story? A Brad Arthur's compassion story?
Well, what do you mean? Like, I mean, yeah, he's been, from the minute he got here, he's been so, all right, fine. He agreed at the Super League launch to sit down with us. He'd been doing interviews for hours with media. He agreed to sit down with us to do this podcast for half an hour.
And he was mega.
And it was so honest, and his honesty, and he's a gentleman, and he's always just been so lovely. I know what you're referring to now. You kind of threw me there, but I was sick. I got sick a few months ago, I think it was, and I had to miss a game here at Headingley. And the following week when I was covering Leeds, he came up to me and he was like, are you all right? Are you feeling better? And he actually clocked that I wasn't there and that I was poorly. And I just thought it was a really lovely gesture.
Nice.
He's a nice man. So off the bench for me, Brad Arthur stays at Headingley.
Deserves a new contract for that, doesn't it?
I think he would get one, whether he'd done that or not, Ian. But, I mean, if that's what tips it for you, fine. So we're just, I think we're going to give him a contract because he was nice to Jenna 3 weeks ago.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So on the bench, something less of in the game.
I'm not a fan of loot fixtures.
Oh, okay.
I'm not.
The fixtures, that's good for me.
I know commercially that has to make sense as well. I'm aware of that within the clubs. But I'm not a fan of loot fixtures. The fans are not really fans of them now, are they? So I think it's probably near the time to look at a different, more compelling fixture list.
There's been a lot of talk, especially this week, about the fixture list, and particularly this year. It's absolutely mental. I think tonight where he leads Lee, you guys haven't played each other in 12 months.
In the tunnel before,
It's crazy, and we're up to what, round 16, is it?
Yeah. Why?
What's
not
happened?
too sure.
Availability of grounds.
Requests coming from clubs at the start of the year. We'll have some with the cricket and trying to. I know it all goes into a computer and then comes out the other end. You'd have to speak to the guys.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
It's a mess.
So I'm putting this year's fixture list.
Yeah, that's on the bench. The fixture list is on the bench.
Yeah,
Without doubt.
point.
We look at the table, and the table's almost irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything.
It's who you played potential, isn't it?
So Warrington, from here on in, we've been calling Warrington. They've played on average 5th in the league in their games so far. From now until the end of the year, they're going to play an average of 7th in the league. You know, so the difference there might be 6 to 8 points for Warrington. So they're 8 points behind, really naturally, where they might finish up. Yeah. For Leeds have got a tough run in. Leeds are going to average around sixth place in the league in their running. So
let's prove that wrong then, eh?
Well, it's if you want to be a champion team, you're going to have to do it, aren't you? But I think the fact that when we look at a table and we go, oh, that's an assumption that everybody is where they should be, it's not. Because it's so distorted.
And we're already well past the halfway mark. It's crazy.
Yeah. Leeds have got the toughest running in the league, by the way, statistically.
Do you have an on the bench, John?
No, I'm just sharing in your fixture list and adding to it and colouring it in for you.
Can I make a reference to one of your off the benches previously? You wanted players to be mic'd. I think the NRL have taken that on board because in Vegas, I mean, I don't know if it was you or not, but in Vegas, Penrith mic'd up 3 of their players.
Yeah, we did. The players have been mic'd up before, but
No, it was the first time in history that the NRL had done it.
Right.
We did it.
We did it. Yeah.
Well, the NRL first time, so maybe we need to do it again here. Would you be interested in doing that?
I don't think they're listening.
For our behind the scenes documentary that we do, we were considering doing it for players, but I think we thought as a club, sometimes, I don't know if it's true, it's an interesting one. Do you act differently? You'd love to be mic'd up on the pitch, wouldn't you?
No, I got mic'd up by the BBC for a Challenge Cup semi-final against Castleford, and the editor, the producer, Sally Richardson, somebody who I admire greatly, she came to me after the game and she said, I've never been so disgusted in all my life.
Have you ever said anything, and this goes beyond playing, on this mic that you wish, I wish I didn't say that?
And was she serious then as well?
Yeah, it was my language was disgusting. Intimidation, winding people up, like abusing the touch judges. It actually was, when I got to listen to it back, it made me sort of think about things actually, about my language, my behaviour.
So you have often said...
On this microphone, or a microphone like this, the one thing I've said that I really regret was I was a bit condescending about Mark Applegarth. Do you remember when he got the Wakefield job? And I didn't mean to be. I was more taking the mick out of you, but it came across like I was laughing at him. And I don't find everybody in this game, from Derek Beaumont all the way down to the fans, deserves respect. Like, I respect everybody. But yeah, I regret a few things. But you always, that's life, innit? You don't get it right all the time.
No, I remember the comment about Salford not having any minerals.
Minerals, yeah.
Yeah, but
That was a good one, wasn't it?
after
I dined out on that for a very long time, mate. You did well for me there.
you'd lost 8 weeks on the spin.
We
though.
pinned it up in the dressing rooms and everything. It was
I know,
great.
yeah.
It was great. That.
But it was
Thank
true
you.
at the time.
Never thanked you.
But you then motivated them, didn't you? So, yeah, their success that year was down to you, John.
Did have the minerals in the end. They found the minerals.
They
They'd lost the
found the
minerals,
minerals.
and they found the minerals.
Ian Blease, this has been an absolute
awesome,
pleasure.
thank
You've been
you.
a pleasure. It's been fascinating. Thank you so much. July, we will keep our ears to the ground, our eyes to the post. I think that's the saying. Or maybe I just made it up. I'm not quite sure.
Sounds fine.
But we wish you luck because would love to see Brad Arthur State Headingley.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good on
Thanks
you.
for coming on. Thank you.